Reverend Emily Bogus said her mother had a framed cross stitch on her wall. It read, "Rest is to rust." Reverend Emily said the sentiment implied that we could sleep when we're dead. As long as we are alive and breathing, we should be doing things. Welcome to the grind culture, says Tricia Hersey. She's a performance activist, an artist, a theologian, and a daydreamer. Hersey does nap retreats. It's not about self-care, she says. It's said that when people come to the retreat, they think they're going to come and rest over the weekend so they can go back to work all ready to go the next week. But she says, no, that's not what people get when they come to a nap retreat. She hands you a blanket, but she also hands you a metaphorical flame thrower so that you can burn the culture of grind to the ground. Now, many retired people, I know you have a little more flexibility to sit back and have coffee, but I also know that when people retire, they end up saying yes to a lot of things, and it feels natural to keep going because that's what we've always known. But what she's saying, Hersey says, she's known as a nap bishop, by the way, promotes the idea that rest is a form of resistance, meaning capitalism and white supremacy are toxic systems that, quote, refuse to see the inherent divinity of human beings, not to mention the planet, and have used human bodies, especially black and brown bodies, for centuries as a tool for production, a tool to promote evil and violence for centuries. Grind culture has made all of us human machines willing and ready to donate our lives to a capitalist system that thrives by placing profit over people, profit over planet. That's from an article called Rest is Resistance. Can I get an amen? That was the title. You can give me an amen. Amen. So throughout this whole month, we've been focusing on renewal. It's a good thing to slow down. It's countercultural. Our society expects us to do something constantly. Unitarian Universalists by nature tend to be rebels. You can't tell us what to do. I've heard that a number of times. I probably said it myself. Well, let's commit ourselves to transformational value that says what we have been doing our whole lives is no longer working for us, for our bodies, for our systems. Slowing down probably won't feel natural for many of us because we have been indoctrinated in the grind culture. I had a conversation with a staff person this week who's working very fast and very hard. And I said, do you stop for a half hour to just sit down and rock in the rocking chair in the nursery for a half hour? We'll pay you a half hour to go sit and rest. Oh, I can't do it. It's just not part of who I am. I need to have another conversation with our staff member. You might be thinking, how do we grapple with the immediate needs of the world, with climate change disasters, the threat to our democracy, and so many other issues? Well, first of all, we hang on to a vision of what we hope to see in the world, and then we strategically move ahead. An old boss of mine said, work smarter, Amy, not harder. Keep love front and center and commit to working smarter, not harder. Shirley Chisholm, maybe many of you remember, who was the woman that ran for president? Is it Crisholm, or is there an R there? You know Chisholm? Thank you, and I'm glad you know who this is. People asked her, why are you running for president, a black woman? You don't have a chance, they said. Why are you even doing that? She said, because I am in love with the America that does not yet exist. This is how I feel about Unitarian Universalism. We're not where I want us to be. I am in love with the Unitarian Universalism that does not yet exist. When I rest, I tell myself I am refueling so that my work can be meaningful. But I have to tell you, that little voice in my head says, you need to answer the email, you need to answer this phone call, but I'm working on being a rebel in this case. As much as I might want to want immediate change to happen right now, I know good and lasting change must occur in covenant with others and in relationship with community partners. I know a lot of us have that individual thought that I can make a difference, one person can make a difference. Think of the difference multitudes of people can make. It's not about one person, it's about many people. So I could tell myself that I will work 55 hours a week and also try to make contact with activists in the local area to pursue worthy relationships in the community. But if I'm not rested and taking care of myself, I won't have the bandwidth to be cordial and caring, to be the kind of person with whom others will want to partner to do great things, to make lasting change. You and I, especially those of us in volunteer roles, must include renewal and rest if we intend to remain committed, especially to the work of social justice. Part of the process of renewal is learning to check in with how one feels. This isn't mamby-pamby, by the way, mamby-pamby fluff work. Where did mamby-pamby come from? Am I the only one that grew up hearing, oh, it's mamby-pamby? Sorry, off the cuff here, just like, where did that come? Anyway, this is learning and noticing what pushes one's personal buttons, meaning learning when one feels safe and when one doesn't feel safe. And that's part of the work of renewal as well. This includes pausing to notice where trauma is embodied and then tending to that sensitivity. Let's take a moment to explore the meaning of the word renewal. I came across 3 definitions: an instance of resuming an activity after a state of interruption, the action of extending the period of validity of a license, subscription, or a contract, but the third one applies to us, the replacing or repair of something that is worn out, run down, broken. To repair something that is worn out, run down, or broken. How has the trauma you and I and all of us have experienced in the past few years affected your ability to feel safe? Post-COVID, how many of you noticed people losing it at the grocery store, in the airport, at the supermarket, online? This response to trauma is prevalent, correct? Boy, do we need renewal. Sometimes I wonder if part of the anger expressed by some people in our society, that's response to trauma. After losing so many people during COVID, and I think it's important to pause. I know, I don't like thinking back to how rough that was, but honestly, in order for renewal, for new energy, for joy, it's important to pause. How many people did you lose in your family or your circle of friends? How many people did not have weddings because of COVID? How many young people did not have the graduation they'd hoped for? These are milestone moments that are important in a person's life, a ritual. Most of us think of other people are losing it, but how many of us pause to notice when we have felt like losing it? Taking time to pay attention to responses to trauma or experiences that have influenced how you and I connect to other people and to ourselves. To ourselves and to other people. It's critical now more than ever. So I'm reading an excellent book. And as many of you know, I'm taking a little break away for July to renew, for a study break. I'm reading an excellent book, and I would encourage you to read it. What It Takes to Heal by therapist Prentice Hemphill. What It Takes to Heal. Her last name is Hemphill. It's powerful. It's really great reading with so much information that everyone would benefit from reading. Here's an excerpt. Trauma breaks apart our ability to experience safety, belonging, and dignity. That these needs are core to our ability to develop as human beings, to grow, create, engage with others in the world, and express and protect ourselves. Safety is the capacity to feel free from threat, which includes the threat of hunger and neglect. When we feel safe, our nervous systems can quiet, allowing for other capacities like imagination and expression to come forward. Belonging, similarly, is our ability to feel that we are part of something, of a community, of the world around us. Trauma can make that feeling of belonging feel contingent and dangerous, leading us to seek isolation and supremacy, both strategies that break belonging. Did you hear those last two indications when somebody doesn't feel safe? There's two things that happen. I'm stepping away, I don't need those people, or those people don't know anything. I have figured it out, I'm smarter, better intellect. Those are two responses when somebody doesn't feel safe. When I came here in the fall of 2022, you here at UUC told me you wanted to work on 4 goals. They are creating a culture of mutual trust between the congregation, lay leadership, the staff, and your minister. Strengthening our ability to have healthy disagreements and deepen relationships. Moving from an I church to a we church or congregation or community. Balancing individual needs with beloved community. And finally, creating a congregation of encompassing hospitality, prompting multifaceted growth. Any one of these developmental goals I mentioned just now can be affected by personal experiences of trauma in so many forms. Let me ask you all, you don't have to raise your hand, but just ask yourself right now, how many times have I gone inward to ask myself, how has my background and my earlier unhealed experiences of personal trauma gone unattended? What feelings do I have that keep me from making close relationships? What in me has gone neglected? So I want to share a story with you. I had a friend who was from a family of 8 children. We grew up Catholic. The young man was a middle child. We became friends as adults, and he spoke often about how he never felt heard when he was little, and he was often left on his own. His family had little in the way of food and necessities, and everything in his adult life, he said, he had to, quote, fight to achieve. He often complained that people were stupid and chose to do things in ways that he didn't think were acceptable or satisfactory. If only they would listen to what I had to say, he told me. I know better than they do. Throughout our friendship, I noticed he was a loner, and he could not understand why people didn't want to be around him. Now, I'm not a therapist, yes, as part of training in ministry. There is some coursework in counseling, so take what I have to say with a grain of salt. But I suspect part of what made this man's adult life so challenging was likely his childhood experiences that left some scars. My friend never felt anyone listen to him as an adult. Yes, I noticed in social situations when they did listen to him, he would say something so offensive, people would often avoid him later. Through the years, our friendship drifted, but I have often wondered how many people tend to get in the way of deep and meaningful relationships due to trauma. Here's the thing, he was a hard worker, committed to his dream of becoming a world-renowned sculptor. However, he rarely took the time to ask or listen to the hopes and dreams of others. I have to say, people respected him for his work ethic, but did not want to be around him because of his personality. Ouch. In this, our grind culture whereby people are rewarded for work, and doing, how often does one value or attend to aspects of renewal, including repair of something that is worn out or broken? I believe our thought patterns can develop in ways that no longer serve us, and pausing to reflect is critical to making positive change. It involves slowing down. Author Bayo Akamalafe, an author, speaker, and teacher, was born in Africa, the African continent, now lives in India, said, quote, "I learned a long time ago about a particular saying from the continent I grew up on. The times are urgent. Slow down." Slowing down is taking care of ghosts, hugging monsters, sharing silence, embracing the weird. It is a humanist response to say the killing of whales or police violence urges us to do more and more to stop these phenomena, but the call to slow down reminds us that we do not simply act upon the world as if the world is separate from us, but we have to do ongoing action. As a result, we might come to examine our complicity in class issues and how the loss of immediate connections with the wild parts of our world renders us disconnected from others. The world is going on together. It is a becoming together. This has vast implications for how we think about ourselves. Reverend Victoria Safter, UU minister, said our attention to faith might well be akin to polishing silver. I'll end with this. She said, "I remember my mother teaching me when I was very small how to polish silver. Not that we had a lot of it. We had a dented sugar bowl, black with tarnish, and a few pieces of flatware. But we had to be careful with it because it scratches. Silver is soft. We kept rubbing until finally they were shining, sparkling, reflecting our faces, and I would begin to beg to drink from the bowl and to eat with the spoons. 3 months later, we would do it all again. Because these things were special, we didn't use them every day. We had plastic," she said. Reverend Safford implied that it's a little bit like our tradition of faith. It can be so hard to persevere in a Unitarian Universalist tradition that celebrates diversity of thought, and yet it is a reminder to pause, to renew ourselves, and often to recommit ourselves to patience and love. We talk about covenants in our UU meeting places. These are promises we make to one another to be respectful and loving individuals. If you're tired and cranky, it's hard to be loving. If you need help, reach out. I'm going to mention careaboutme.org. If you need a little support, contact careaboutme.org. Otherwise, I'd be happy to talk with you. Blessed be, and amen. May it be so.